Friday, October 20th. Welcome back to Damon Bruce. Plus, it's great to have you here. We got a great Warrior retirement to talk about. Andre Iguodala hanging up the chucks after 19 years in the league. We will get there, but obviously we're getting you ready for a big football game, a sneaky big football game that is coming up on Monday Night Football, which means we'll be in pregame mode once again on Monday. And then on Tuesday morning, I hope you'll be waking up very, very early, 8 a.m. for a little 49ers wake up with me and this guy, Larry Krueger. Good to see you, pal. How you doing, man?
What's up? Happy Friday to everybody. Hope everybody's having a great day. We're off and running. My second stream of the day. I streamed earlier today with the great Pete Bursich of the Minnesota Vikings broadcast team. And happy to be here with you, Damon. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Well, look, let's just jump right into any inside information that you got out of Pete today. Was there a moment in your interview that you thought, all right, I got a nugget here, let's share it?
Well, I mean, I think he's just, knows that this is going to be a very difficult game for the Vikings to win. The Vikings are not a very good football team. They have Danielle Hunter. They blitz a lot, but quarterbacks facing the Vikings this season have completed 75% of their passes. So, it's not a stellar team the Niners are going against. Niners coming off a loss, national TV. I think more than anything, Pete seemed like he was bracing for what we were going to see Monday night.
So, look, it's a sneaky big game, Larry. It really is for the 49ers. When I think about this one, when I think about the entirety of the year, when I think about the Bengals rolling in off the bye week, that's the first time I'm going to tell you I'm chalking that down as a loss, and we'll see what happens. Because like you and I talked about just last week, how important rest was. We sort of dismiss the importance of rest. The Bengals are going to be coming in rested. And this is an opportunity to get to 6-1 before the Bengals get here. Should you let go of the rope and lose in Minnesota, then for whatever reason, because the Bengals have rest, because Joe Burrow's a stud, because they're starting to play better, and now you've got a 2-game losing streak that could become a 3-game losing streak. Look, Larry, the way that this first half feels, this is the pivot game for that feeling, because there's a big difference between being 6-2 going into the bye week or 5-3 with a 3-game losing streak. This is a handle your business game. I don't care who's on deck, who's available, who's dressed, who's healthy, who's not. This is one that when you look at how do you find your easiest path to the playoffs, this is one of those non-negotiable wins. I mean, the Vikings are fumblers. Nobody likes a fumbler. They turn the ball over a lot. The 49ers create a lot of turnovers. The Vikings are 0-3 at home so far this year, and they're going to be without their best player. Niners got to have this one.
I'll push back on the Cincinnati part. I don't fear Cincinnati. I just don't. Joe Burrow's not playing well at all. He threw another pick last week. He was sacked 3 times.
So go 7-1. Go 7-1 in the first half if that's what you're offering. I'll buy that right now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. One thing, Damon, Niners will be coming off a short week, traveling back from Minnesota. Bengals will be coming off a bye week, fully rested. So there's that major rest advantage, which seems like an equalizer and equalizing factor. But I just, I don't think much of Cincinnati. Jamar Chase is fantastic. And Burrow's got a lot of talent, but Burrow hasn't played very well this year. And just listening to Greg Cosell talk about his breakdown and then watching the all-22 myself of Cincinnati, because I had a little extra time this week with the extra day, I looked at them and it was like, man, they're not sharp right now. So I'm not worried about Cincinnati, but you're absolutely right, though. The rest advantage is major, and then that just kind of turns, and after the loss last week, that turns this game into you better bounce back against the Vikings. And it is on the road in Minnesota, not the easiest place to play, against a veteran quarterback who, plays the game at a really high level and will go through his progressions. So there's that. But I just don't think that the Alexander Madison, Cam Akers show can run it on the 49ers. You don't have Justin Jefferson, no JJ in this game. I don't think the Vikings are much defensively. And the wild card factor in this game is Josh Metellus, number 44, the nickelback for the Vikings. They utilize him as a blitzer. People talk about the Vikings blitz. Well, one of the things that Pete was bringing up is that they'll send four, but they will drop, Dean Lowry into coverage or Harrison Phillips, the nose guard. They'll drop off Bullard or Lowry and send Metellus off the edge, and people will say, well, they're blitzing. It's still a four-man rush. It's just
Right.
they're sending the nickel back. So, to me, the two key guys, obviously Daniil Hunter, he leads the league in sacks, and he's playing at a really high level. He's in great shape, and he's a force. And if you blitz, sometimes you get him some more one-on-ones. But the other guy is Metellus 44, who they utilize in a variety of ways to rush the passer.
It's going to be an interesting game, and the Vikings got really good tackles. Their weakness is that interior, and if there's ever a game for Eric Armstead, Javon Hargrave, and Kinlaw to just have a big game, like here it is. This is an opportunity to get to Kirk Cousins and to come right up the middle is the number one way to make him uncomfortable. Kirk Cousins is a good progression quarterback. He throws a great deep ball, but he doesn't escape his own problems. He can be had. And I just think that this is a huge, huge weekend that plays right into one of the chief strengths of the 49ers, that interior, the middle of their own pass rush, I think matches up really well with the middle of that Vikings offensive line.
Yeah, no, I agree. And the Niners have twice as many picks as touchdown passes allowed. They're giving up just 5.5 yards per pass attempt. That's third fewest overall. They're giving up the third fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks in the entire league. 4 of the 6 quarterbacks they've faced since the beginning of the year have scored single-digit fantasy points. Now you get Cousins, but you get Cousins without Jefferson. I mean, there's the Vikings have 2 major weapons you got to account for in this game, and that is T.J. Hawkinson, number 87, their tight end,
having a down year,
having a down year, but he's a tremendous player. And then the rookie Jordan Addison, who's 175 pounds, but if you let him get a free release at the line of scrimmage, he's very competitive at the catch point. He can go low, high. He's got a huge catch radius. He plays the game. He's a 5'11" player that plays the game like a 6'3" receiver. So he's going to be no picnic to stop. But I Ezra Cleveland's banged up inside, which makes it look like Hargrave could have a monster game.
I was reading a Matt Barrows "Who Could You Possibly Trade For" column, and it was a good column. I don't want to reread it right now, but it was basically like, here's the pie in the sky player,
right.
Here's the more gettable player. Cleveland was one of the more gettable players if this team is looking to ensure any injury across its offensive line. So there's an eye to keep, put an eye on him if you're wanting to scout what could be a trade. And then obviously, like you said, Daniil Hunter is just, this guy's a badass. I mean, you would have to give up a first for him, I would think, or certainly a second. And I just don't know if that is, I think that position's already been addressed by the Gregory trade, Larry.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, edge rush is kind of like starting pitching. You can never have enough. So nobody would ever doubt you if you traded for more edge rush talent. And there's no question that Gregory's nice, but Daniil Hunter is
another level.
I mean, he's but then he's also another level as far as contract too. So
right.
Are you going to satisfy him in a contract? Is it a rental situation? To me, if the Niners go, I mean, the A-listers are Daniil Hunter, Brian Burns, right? I mean, those are the guys that are like, what? You're going to get that guy? Those guys are difference makers. But the Niners, if you look at what they've done, they've bolstered their defensive line in the past without going with A-list guys. Jordan Willis comes to mind. Charles Omenihu comes to mind. There's a couple guys like that I could see them going after, like Arden Key, who's in Tennessee.
Bring him back.
Yeah, I mean, I could see them bringing back Arden Key. Rand Carthon and John have a good relationship. Josh Uche, the Patriots are going nowhere. He's a really nice speed rusher off the edge. I think he would help them against mobile quarterbacks. Their struggles against mobile quarterbacks, I think, is a lot related to the fact that, if you have an undersized rusher, that would help. Uche's, 250, 255. He would be phenomenal in the wide nine. So I can see them doing something like that more along the lines of that than Burns or Hunter. But who knows? You never know. I mean, I had a guy call my show the other night on our call-in show with Kev, and he suggested that the Niners try to contact the Raiders about trading draft choices to the Raiders for Max Crosby. And the more I thought about that, the more I think, you know what, the Raiders are several pieces away. They're probably going to look for their quarterback in the future in this draft. If you were willing to give your first and second round draft choice, they probably would give you Max Crosby. The question is, are the Niners willing to give their first and second round draft choice and pour more, draft capital and salary cap room into the defensive line? They're already heavily invested there. And I would think they would want to keep their first round pick to draft the offensive tackle of the future. But man, I mean, you start thinking about Bosa and Crosby. I mean, that would be an altering type situation, and they're thinking big. There's no question that John Lynch is thinking big.
Yeah, I saw maybe Kendrick Bourne coming back from the Patriots. That's not a big move. I don't think that that's going to happen. And I also think that they're I don't want to say they're set at wide receiver, but they've got enough depth and they've got enough internal depth.
Yeah.
Crosby,
difference maker.
Look, Larry, there are days, and I don't know how much Raiders you've subjected yourself to, but there are days when Max Crosby honestly is wearing the baddest man on the planet cape. He is special. He is a handful in the way that Bosa is almost a handful.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's an incredible player, and the Raiders are, from what I've read, are thinking the other way, which is they'd like to acquire Danielle Hunter. They'd like to go after Brian Burns. They'd like to find a replacement for Chandler Jones opposite Crosby.
Well, let's see if they go into Chicago and beat the Bears before we start talking about what they're about to add to their team. I mean, I think that the Raiders should win that game.
But, the Raiders, yeah, I think they won't, to be honest. And then on the other hand, Mark Davis did basically make it perfectly clear when Khalil Mack was being shopped and the 49ers were very interested that, like anybody but the Niners.
Right.
So maybe, even though they're in Vegas, maybe he still has that anybody but the Niners vibe going on. I don't know. The two sides did practice against each other this summer, so maybe they get along better than I think, but I just to me it seems like if Crosby's going to move, it's probably going to cost you either two ones or a 1 and a 2, and that's probably too rich for the Niners.
By the way, I got some hardcore plusers who track this stuff and bet on it. There was your sip of the day. That officially happened. Larry, is that your sip of the day? Are you having a nice sip there?
What's that?
We track sip of the days here on this show for some ridiculous reason. What are you sipping on? That looks like a soda. Are you drinking soda at 11:14 in the morning?
Yeah, I'm having a soda this morning. It's a Friday. I got a long day ahead of me. I was up late. I'm up early.
It's a Friday. Larry's having a soda. He's getting loose.
I'm getting loose. This is my one vice. It's funny. My kid says, "Dad, you're a Coke freak." I'm like, "Thanks, kid. Thanks for saying it that way. It sounds so great that way."
Right. Say it louder so everyone in the restaurant can hear you, son.
Yeah, exactly.
So today really is a big day in terms of an anniversary. It was a year ago today that the 49ers made the franchise-altering trade of Christian McCaffrey. And again, after you leave us, Larry, I'll go through some of the numbers that he's produced. But he's basically been the best player in football since the 49ers have drafted for him. And when it comes to the risk reward of playing him this week, you and I have come down on the same side of this argument. I don't think you need Christian McCaffrey to beat the Vikings. I know that you need Christian McCaffrey to win a Super Bowl. I would exercise caution, even if he's ready to go, even if he says, "Coach, I'm ready," even if the doctors say, "I'm ready." I would love to buy him another week before he gets to the Cincinnati Bengals. Do you think they play McCaffrey? Do you think they play Debo? I mean, they got an all-pro team sitting out of practice today.
Well, it's funny. I asked Kyle Shanahan this question yesterday. I said, "Kyle, I'm looking at McCaffrey's usage. He's on pace for 400 touches. Is that sustainable?" And he kind of dodged and was like, he's our starting running back and we like to throw him the ball and we don't really have a plan and this and that. and we'll just have to see how it goes. But I'll say right now, it's not sustainable. And to me, I want Christian McCaffrey there in the playoffs. Now, every team's different. Like the Dallas Cowboys are a one running back team. They have Rico Dowdell and Deuce Vaughn behind Tony Pollard. Those guys are several steps beneath an NFL starting caliber running back. So they got to go with Tony Pollard. I get it. The 49ers are not in that position. They have Elijah Mitchell. They have who's a full go this week at practice. They have Jordan Mason. They have Ty Davis Price. They have other backs they could utilize. To me, it's a no doubter. Sit Christian McCaffrey down for a game or two. I'd sit him down through the bye week and roll with other guys. Peter King said it the other day on the radio. It's like, you know what? The 49ers are they're not going to get to the postseason healthy at this rate if they just keep, pounding McCaffrey over and over again when they have other guys. Jordan Mason, what does he need to do to get on the field? The guy averaged 6 yards a carry, 5 yards a carry the last couple of weeks. He's showing explosive capability. To me, it's funny. Kyle loves Mitchell. He was asked this week about his confidence in Mason, and he answered by talking about how confident he is in Mitchell. So it's obvious that Mitchell is the guy this week. I mean, whether it's McCaffrey and Mitchell or Mitchell alone, but Mason is behind those guys. So I'm not getting that because to me, Mason looks like he's fresh, he's fast, he's physical, he's 240 pounds. Run Mason. But Kyle likes what he sees from Mitchell, so he's going with Mitchell. I haven't seen it from Mitchell, to be honest, Damon. He's had 1 or 2 runs that were impressive. The rest, he's had all kinds of negative runs.
Yeah. To me, Mason should be the second guy up, but all right, if Mitchell allows you more of a pass catcher out of the backfield, like I understand conceptually why Kyle wants to force that, but to me, it sounds like he's forcing it a little bit when the other guy is just, like you said, doing a Derrick Henry impression. He's running so hard. So we'll see if McCaffrey goes this weekend, but he's one of the biggest trades, I think, already in Bay Area sports history. You said you were going to pair this to your channel, Larry, and you didn't do it. I think you did because I got people coming in here under the guise of paired. Hi, Larry.
Really?
And I see it saying paired. Maybe you did. Are we also streaming on the Crew Show?
Let me see. I hit some buttons, but then I gave up on it because I thought it wasn't working.
I think I wonder what's going on.
Well, let me double check.
Look at us with our technological wizardry.
We may be on dual channels at once without knowing.
Isn't that special?
That's possible. Let me see.
I'm getting paired updates. Paired updates.
Really? Where's it saying that?
In some of the comments that I'm getting here. Paired. And these are from names that I'm not too familiar with in my chat room. So, Larry, you might be doing it.
I don't see it.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yes, I do.
Are we paired?
Oh, no, wait. Is this your? No, this is yours. You entitled it Huge Pivot Game, right? That's
yes.
Your channel. All right, let me double check over here. I don't see it on my channel. So
it's a stunning real-time update, everyone. Stick around for the exciting conclusion of Larry and Damon trying to figure out what the hell they're doing together.
If somebody in the chat, tell me if you're watching on my channel.
Larry, I'm looking at your channel right now. You are streaming.
We are. Okay.
You are. Look at us.
Well, welcome all the crew guys over here to the Damon Bruce channel. Road trip. I feel like it's a Cactus League game.
I like it.
We're bringing our crew over.
Little home and home, little split squad.
Let me take this time now to tell people, hey, if you're coming over here, joining us, this is Damon's channel, which I'm streaming over to our channel for this stream. Hit like and subscribe over. Obviously you've hit like and subscribe on my channel already. Go over and hit like and subscribe over on his channel. He's building it up. Damon, how many months have you had the channel going?
So we've been going since early April. April 3rd was the first ever live Damon Bruce show over here on the
6 months. We're almost
6 months, and we're at 8,600 plus subscribers already.
That's great work, man.
Yeah, we're and look, it's great work. Thanks an awful lot to you and all the help that you provided. Who would have ever thought, Larry, you'd be an inspiration? But indeed,
I've
that's what
never
you've
been an
become.
inspiration before.
Welcome to being an
Well,
inspiration,
actually, no.
man.
People have said, you know what, you're an inspiration to go the other way. You pick you pick Team A, I go Team B. You know, people say
That's
you
just
inspired me to go against you.
Yeah, that's just fading Larry. We've been doing
Yeah,
that for years, but
yeah.
now you're an inspiration, Larry. You really are. Let me ask you this. This is not a situation I would even like to arise because hopefully you can have both. I think Christian McCaffrey is so important. I would rather have Christian McCaffrey healthy in the playoffs and have to play a wild card round than have home field advantage without Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, you got to have this guy. I mean, get to. It's funny. I asked Chris Kasarik in July, "Hey, you got Hargrave and Bosa and this awesome number one line. Are you going to play your number one line more than you did last year, or are you going to keep a rotation?" He's like, "No, I'm going to rotate my guys. Why? Because if I play Bosa 70 snaps a game, he won't make it to January. He won't even make it to the playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl. And we want to be playing on Super Bowl Sunday." I'm like, "Okay, that makes sense." Well, if you're going to treat Bosa that way and you're going to run your D line in a rotation and you're very concerned about how he's going to be playing at the end of the year, then don't you want to have Christian McCaffrey there at the end of the year with Bosa in that game? I mean,
Right.
it's almost like Kyle didn't get the message. He's just like, the entire first month has been, Christian McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey. Now, granted, Christian McCaffrey's on an MVP trajectory, but it's about durability. The best ability is availability, and if you're not there, you can't dominate. And this guy is just getting absolutely physically abused week after week after week. And at running back, the more you get hurt, the harder it is to protect yourself, in my opinion, based on what I've seen. And they've got other guys. Go with their other guys, especially in a game like this, where the Vikings are not a great team. And you've got J.P. Mason and you've got Elijah Mitchell. Run those other guys. Sit Christian down for a couple weeks. Freshen him up. Does it really matter? I'd rather they go 13-4 and have a healthy Christian McCaffrey than go 14-2 and have him be doubtful for the playoffs.
Yeah, I would agree with you too. And we got a lot of people coming in here supporting Jordan Mason, just saying free Jordan Mason. I do think he needs to be freed a little bit.
The guy is not only that, he's springy, he's athletic, he's young, he's a powerful runner. I mean, I want to see him because I want to see him, but also I want to see him just to save McCaffrey. I was joking in my show the other night. Maybe that's where people are getting that, where I told him I was going to show up at Niner Complex with a free Jordan Mason sign. Just start. Come on, Kyle, get him out there. But you know what? You can say you want to go with player A over player B, but ultimately the players decide. So if you go with Mitchell and he continues to get stuffed, guess what? Mason's going to get some carries. Mitchell's just going to get the first run. And then if he does well, then he'll, God bless him. If he doesn't do well, it'll be time for Mason.
We got people saying, "I'm on your channel, Larry." There it is. It's happening in two places at once. It's a technological wizardry that I didn't think, quite frankly, we'd be capable of. But here we are. Larry has always run all of our 49er wake-up shows from his end. This is the first time I've done one on this end. So, my gosh, I can't believe it's actually happening. That's good news for the product that is you and I working together. And Larry, that's what people want, man. I mean, it's amazing. The response that we've gotten to our shows, that Tuesday morning 49ers wake up following Monday Night Football is where all the cool kids are hanging out in the morning, smoking cigarettes before they go into homeroom. We're the cool kids. And I'm looking forward to doing another week with you. Do you want to give a prediction? What do you think of this? Is it a little too early? Are you saving that for Monday?
No, not at all. I'll give a prediction. I think the 49ers are going to score 31, something like that, 30-31. I could see 31-10, something like that. I don't think the Vikings, without Jefferson, can win this game. I just really don't. And I think the 49ers will do a nice job on the tight end. They typically do. The big question for me is Dre Greenlaw. There's two takeaways from last week. One was, man, the 49ers have run D issues. No, the 49ers don't have run D issues. It's just that they didn't have Dre Greenlaw, and Greenlaw's that good. And then the other takeaway was, oh man, Brock Purdy was terrible. Brock Purdy was terrible. The sky's falling. Yeah, Brock Purdy was not good, but I attribute that more to, sometimes you have to credit your opponent. I think the Browns are really, really special as far as defensively. I think if you look closer into those numbers and compare what the Browns are doing on defense this year to any defense in any era, you're going to find that this Browns defense stacks up nicely.
Hey, look at Burrow, look at Allen, look at Mahomes, look at Lamar. Every single one of these top flight quarterbacks has had more than one game they've struggled in so far. So did Brock Purdy have a less than game? Absolutely he did. Do you have to tip your cap to the other opponent? Of course you do. But Larry, Brock was overdue for a rough one. No, he wasn't just due for it. He was overdue. So, it was the Cosmos pretty much, balanced out the scales there a little bit. And, I was listening to Steve Young join Tolbert and Copes a little bit this week, and he basically said that's exactly the kind of game that Brock needs just to get up from. I mean, he's done nothing but, walk on water since he's gotten here. He needs a little, all right, that was bad, go make it better, get back on track. He needs that game. He hasn't even been able to show you his ability to bounce back because the one game he needed to bounce back from was the final game of the year when he got injured in the NFC title game. So, he needs this. This is the rite of passage. This is the vision quest that every young quarterback has to go on, and I like his chances to get through it an awful lot.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that we are so Niners centric and Niner focused. Everything's about what the Niners do or don't do, and it never has to do with the opponent. This last game had a lot to do with the opponent. I watched that film. I looked at that defense. They're playing really, really well, and they've got awesome talent. Dalvin Tomlinson played the game of his life, and then you have Myles Garrett. Those two guys up front were totally dominating. This was easily the best three corners they're going to face. And then Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, there's a reason that I've been a huge fan of his going back to Notre Dame. This guy is one of the best linebackers in the game. 5 tackles, 3 solo, sacked the quarterback, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 hits on the quarterback, defended a pass, unbelievable speed, great instincts. I mean, the guy's a tremendous player. So, the Browns have an awesome secondary, a phenomenal front line, and Koramoah in the middle. And that's what happened more than anything. Yeah, the weather, and yeah, the injuries, and yeah, the bad calls, and yeah, the missed kicks. But that's really what happened. At the end of the day, it's that killer Browns defense. And I just don't think this week that the Vikings have anything close to that.
We have Joe Schmo saying split screen simulcast action. What's up, everybody? It's really exciting if you think about it. Irwin says, "Who needs Jillian and Kevin to work these problems out?" Like, yeah, you got your son who normally figures every technological thing out. My wife, if it weren't for her, I'd be screaming the show off my front porch. So yeah, look at us, Larry.
We're learning. I think it's safe to say that Jillian and Kevin are just products of the system. I mean, they could be, they could be plugged in, plugged out. You know what I mean? It's like I got other boys. I got 2 other sons. I could use Kevin, but you know what? He's just a product of the Kruger system, really.
I've always said you're a system broadcaster, Larry. You're a system broadcaster. I'm a system broadcaster. Not enough actual raw ability to be successful without a microphone, but you put you behind the right microphone system. Look at what you can do. It's very impressive. Hey, I know that you've got, you got to get going. You got to be a dad this afternoon.
Well, I've got to pick up my kid at noon. He takes a class, and my wife threatens me. Do not forget your son. She tells me over and over again. I'm like, I will not forget.
Don't forget the boy. You know what I do like about the Niners playing on Monday Night Football, other than they get the spotlight to themselves, and then you and I get to go on 49ers Wake Up on Tuesday morning. I like the fact that we can just sit around and watch a stress-free Sunday afternoon with no one game to really concentrate on. You can sort of look at it all. There are some really good games this weekend, Larry. Lions-Ravens is a sneaky game of the week. That's 5-1 versus 4-2. Then you got your Sunday night football game. Mike McDaniel, help out your former team. We got Dolphins at Eagles, and that's a heavyweight fight on Sunday Night Football. Steelers, Rams, maybe Pittsburgh can help cool down an LA team a little bit. Cardinals, Seahawks, it's an NFC West ugly contest. But there's some good stuff out there this weekend.
Yeah, Lions, Ravens, I think is going to be really, really good. Baltimore's a 3-point favorite at home in that game, but man, the Lions are playing tremendous football right now. That'll be a fun one to watch. I think Rams, Steelers is going to be a pretty good football game. There's some good ones there. Chargers, Chiefs. At Arrowhead, the Chiefs kind of play up or down to the level of the competition, but the game of the week is definitely Dolphins, Eagles. Sunday Night Football at the Link. I like the Dolphins there, man. I like the Dolphins to go on the road and get it done. I think the Eagles are reeling, and I don't think people realize it. I think you're going to see the Dolphins rise up and win that game.
Before you go, Andre Iguodala has announced his retirement. I heard, or I read, I should say, Tim Kawakami bring up the fact that Iguodala is basically a litmus test for what you value in terms of a basketball player when he was sort of framing this whole thing in, is he a Hall of Famer or not? Now, I think I value the nuanced game as much, if not more than most. And Andre Iguodala is absolutely in the hall of respected basketball OGs who has universal respect. But to me, in order to say Andre Iguodala is a Hall of Famer, Larry, you either have to lower your standards for the Hall of Fame or sort of exaggerate the totality of Iguodala's career. I think he's in the hall of very, very, very good. He gets his number retired by the Warriors. He gets to be part of the statue out front of Chase Center one day. And he will get to the Hall of Fame based on his overwhelming league-wide respect. What do you think of Andre Iguodala? And in your mind, is he a Hall of Famer?
Well, I think he's one of the smartest players, I've come across. I mean, this guy's set off the floor. He's a very interesting guy. I guess he's a Finals MVP. He's a 4-time NBA champion. He's an NBA All-Star. He was All-NBA Defensive First Team in 2014. He was the All-Rookie First Team. He had a great collegiate career. He was all Pac-12 or all Pac-10 back in the day. I guess the Finals MVP and the 4 rings probably says Hall of Fame. To me, he's a borderline Hall of Fame player. His Hall of Fame candidacy is tied more to the success of the team than him. There's better individuals that didn't win as many championships. It depends on how much credence you want to put into championships. If you're one of these team, well, he was a 4-time NBA champion. He was a Finals MVP. But, I don't know. I mean, you're talking about does 11 points a game, 4 rebounds a game, and 4 assists a game, does that sound like a Hall of Fame player? I don't know about that. 11 points a game?
But I think you brought it up. Ring culture gets him in.
Right.
Ring culture and universal respect gets him in. And I'm not sure
should Robert Horry be in? I mean, I'm not saying they're the same player, but Robert Horry's got a bunch of rings.
Exactly. Here's the thing. Of all the halls of fame, the standards of admission are easier in basketball. I mean, there are more Argentina female women's basketball coaches in the Hall of Fame than you could imagine.
It's the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Mass. It's not necessarily the NBA Hall of Fame. It's
right. It's of all the Hall of Fames, there will be more. Okay, that guy, he's in the Hall of Fame. All right. It's a little bit of it's a nice way to send someone off in a career. You did a great job. We really liked you. You won a little. Yeah, we'll let you in the Hall of Fame eventually. Like that. It's kind of how it goes.
It's weird. It's like if he's in the Hall of Fame, it's like, does Steph have to be standing right there because Steph was the best player on all those teams, or Durant? You know what I mean? It's like
right.
It's just a little bizarre. He was I mean, he's a damn good player. I'll say this: I think he's a very important player in the history of the Warriors.
Without
I
a
think
doubt.
he changed the culture when he decided to accept a trade to the Warriors. I think that kind of announced to the rest of the NBA, "Hey, guess what? The Warriors are no longer, Siberia." Before he got there, they were and the Warriors were like the place that you didn't want to ever go. So I thought he had a huge impact. He could be in the Warrior Hall of Fame, but if he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame, I don't know, man. There's probably all kinds of awesome 20-point scorers who aren't in the Hall of Fame. Maybe not. Maybe they're. I have to go look it up, but I would probably say no.
MJ says, I'm shocked that there hasn't been a Palmetto Foods acai bowl shout out yet. Well, they'll get a lot of that love coming up on Tuesday morning. And I want to invite you back right here to the simulcast on our channels. 49ers Wake Up Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. It is the biggest day after morning show coming out of the Bay Area. Like, that's measurable and true. That's not just me exaggerating what you and I have built in a very short time here, Larry. Again, thank you for hopping on just for a minute today. We're going to let you go. You're going to go be a dad. Don't forget your kid. I'm going to sound like Amy. Don't forget your kid. But thanks, Larry, for hopping on in. And one more time, while we're talking to everyone on your vast channel, please come on over. Click on over to Damon Bruce Plus, subscribe, like, notify, do all those things to help us grow this bad boy, and Larry and I can take over the world one day at a time.
Join us Tuesday morning, and what a busy few days, by the way, for my channel. Not only am I going on to today with you, or earlier with Pete Bursich. Tomorrow I do a stream in the morning with the coach at 9 a.m. And then game day, of course, we'll do a little post game. And then Damon and I Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. on both of our channels for the Palmetto Superfoods 49er Wake Up. And then Tuesday night, Warriors Suns. I'm going to be on doing post game after opening night with the whole crew. And Damon, if you'd like to, if you're at all around, you're absolutely invited. But I got a whole crew of post game Warrior people, and we'll start chopping it up. I'm going to be doing a lot of Warrior reaction videos this year. Probably not going to stream after every game, but I'm going to stream after, let's say 25 of 82, something like that. But we'll be doing recap videos at the end of every single Warrior game. And I look forward to talking a lot of hoop this year. By the way, I was excited, Damon. You were there. I was excited when the Warriors used the 57th pick on Trace Jackson Davis. But after watching him in the preseason, I'm even more excited. That kid is going to play big minutes. The big question I was just debating right before I jumped on with you, I was looking at the numbers. Over or under 47.5 wins for Golden State. They won 44 last year. They're older, but they're deeper. They've gotten rid of Poole. They've added Paul. Are they a 48-win team and go over, or are they a 47-win team or less and go under?
Based on how sloppy they shouldn't be, based on Wiggins's cross your fingers availability that sort of went out the window last year, based on the leap I think Jonathan Kuminga can make, based on how good I think Podziemski and Trace Jackson Davis have shown.
Podziemski looks good too.
The actual contributors this year, I'll take the over on that, Larry. I'll bang the over on that. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned about Chris Paul's health and the health of the team. If they got 4 old guys, but Trace Jackson Davis, and then you add, and he's real, and then Podziemski, and then Rudy Gay, and Usman Garuba, and some of these other players they've added. I kind of like the depth a lot more. Kuminga looks. If Kuminga can emerge this year as the second best Warrior, and I think it's possible, I think that could fuel them. I think that could fuel them to a 50-win season.
Larry, Great to talk to you. We'll do it again on we've got Tuesday morning, and then I'm going to be at that Warriors game. I'll be doing quite a bit of Warrior post game myself over here on the Plus, but you and I are always aligned, and I thank you very much for coming on today, man. It's great to talk to you as always.
Anytime, man.